They say it's only a scam if you're not in on it. No truer word has been spoken. Now, we have a scam today, which is a monumental scam, which nobody will dare utter a word about. Not politicians, not media, executives, the commentariat. Nobody who is in on this scam will dare talk about it. It's so politically sensitive. Labor would like to do something about it, but they won't touch it either. And that scam is the massive $36 billion subsidy for mostly wealthy Australians from working Australians. So anybody under the age of 40, please go to the story and check out the scam. Get your head around it because it's a little bit complicated. But when you look at this subsidy, it is so gross, something will have to happen. So the scam is the explosion in DIY super in self-managed super funds. It's about a quarter of the $3.5 trillion superannuation market now. The scam is once you turn 60 years old, if you've got a bit of spare coin, your financial advisor will tell you you've got to be in on this. And to give the boomers their credit here, they've done nothing wrong. They are merely obeying the laws that have been put in place by governments. Howard and Costello, the coalition is chiefly to blame in the early 2000s, where they basically made superannuation a tax shelter. And in the most recent budget, in Josh Frydenberg's budget, they went on and on for weeks with leaks about cash splashes. They went on and on about cost of living measures. This stuff is chicken feed. Fossil fuel companies are getting $12 billion worth of subsidies, and they're decrying the Labor initiative to spend a couple of extra billion on aged care. But to get back to the point, how has this been allowed to occur? As Harry puts it in the story, and this is a beautiful quote, the budget continues a measure that turns their private pension funds into the financial equivalent of a magic pudding, valuable, inexhaustible, and sheltered from tax until ready to be passed on to the next generation. This is workers funding people largely that do not need the money. Here are the numbers. $7 billion in subsidies, in tax breaks, go to the wealthiest 20% of Australians via their self-managed super funds. Around 50% of this $36 billion total in subsidies go to the top 20%. One quarter of the $3.5 trillion, that's $1,000 billion pool of superannuation is now in SMFs, parked in SMFs, taking advantage of the tax breaks. Because once you get to 60 years of age, your advisor will tell you you need to take these tax breaks, leave your super fund, not good for industry super either, park it in a self-managed super fund. Your assets in pension mode are tax-free. Now, there's one guy, apparently with a $500 million self-managed super fund. There are plenty of very wealthy Australians taking advantage of this lurk. The lurk really applies to people mostly in the tax-free threshold, which is 1.7 million in assets. So if you have 1.7 million in assets and your husband or your wife also has 1.7, that's 3.4 tax-free, 3.4 million tax-free. Now, if that 3.4 million grows, as it has in many, many cases over the past decade or so, to 10 million, you've got 10 million tax-free. How much do you need to live on? If you're not a big spender, you don't do too many holidays in Tuscany, care of the poor average working Australian, your pool of tax-free money will continue to balloon. And you will be able to pass this gem, this treasure chest, onto future generations who get it via the subsidies from ordinary working Australians for nothing. What it does is it entrenches inequality. It entrenches a class system in Australia where if you've got wealthy parents, you're okay. Or if you happen to make money, you're okay. But if you're an average Australian, you will be subsidising this perk, this lurk. The scam, therefore, is that the government has created a gigantic tax shelter. So you might be able to pay yourself 60 on your 10 million, save money, make money, thanks to this subsidy, instead of letting your savings run down to pay for the nursing homes and so on. it actually inflates in value. It's not about boomers versus millennials, but the millennials and the Gen Y are seriously disadvantaged, having to work hours every week to subsidise and sustain the lifestyles of the baby boomers and the older generation of Australians. This absolutely needs to be capped, so it can't be a tax shelter for the wealthiest Australians. Like this video if you'd like to see Australia's commentariat, the Fourth Estate, report this properly, not bury it on the hip pocket principle that they are personal beneficiaries of this enormous, gigantic rort. As we sail towards the election, we'll keep you up to speed on all the developments in federal politics. We'll try to get you the real story, not the exclusive